Now, naturally, as people leave the state, they're taking their incomes with them, which means the income base shrinking. As the income base shrinks, so does the tax base. And this chart shows the overall amount of adjusted gross income that these people have taken with them over that 15-year period of time. Overall, after adjusting for inflation, the state has lost $31 billion in adjusted gross income on net to other states as people have fled the state. Now, over the past 5 years alone, this has averaged about $2 billion a year in income that's going to other states. That's good for their tax base, that's really good for yours. And certainly this has got to play some part in the state's current fiscal problems. And naturally, it's putting greater and greater stress on the taxpayers who've been left behind. You're getting stuck with the bill as these people are leaving the state. Now, there's certainly a lot of reasons why people move, why they leave the state. There's weather, there's retirement, job opportunities, but certainly taxes can be a factor. And let's look at Illinois' tax system and see how it compares nationally and regionally. And we generally assess a state's tax system based on two different factors. The first one is how much a state taxes, that's the tax burden. And the second is how a state taxes, that's the tax system, or the structure of the state's tax system. Now, if we look at the first measure, the tax burden, Illinois ranks 30th in the nation when it comes to your combined state and local tax burden as a share of the state's income. So that means you're slightly below the national average when it comes to state and local tax burdens. And it puts you roughly on par with all of your neighbors, except for poor old Wisconsin. Wisconsin, those big government types to the north, have been among the 10 highest tax burden states in each of the last 40 years. There's only 2 other states that have been in the top 10 in terms of their tax burden for more than 4 decades. I think it's New York and Maine. So I guess you can be great, even though you may feel overtaxed, you can be grateful you're not Wisconsin. As we'll see in a minute, your modest tax burden is largely due to the state's flat income tax, which actually limits the growth of tax revenues as incomes are growing, as opposed to progressive tax systems, which as incomes grow, progressive tax systems siphon off more income as people move into higher and higher brackets, etc. The good news also is that when the economy is shrinking, it keeps the state in a relatively even keel, as opposed to, as we'll see in a few minutes, states that have highly progressive systems see great fluctuations in their tax revenues. Well, in addition to measuring how much a state taxes, it's really important to look deep down inside at the structure of how the state goes about taxing its citizens and raising money for state government. And the Tax Foundation's State Business Tax Climate Index does just that. We measure how business-friendly each state's tax system is on more than 100 different variables. And what we do is we actually look at each of the 5 major areas of the state's tax system. We look at the structure of your corporate system, your individual tax structure, sales tax structure, employment tax structure, and then what we call the wealth and property tax system. Each one of those is ranked separately, and then it tiers up into a national overall ranking for each state. And the index rewards those states that don't have one of the major taxes, such as a personal income tax, corporate income tax, sales tax, because you really can't get more competitive than not having a particular type of tax, like in Nevada or Florida. We also reward tax systems that have low rates on a very flat, broad base. Now, on the contrary, we punish states, or the index punishes states, that have highly progressive, complex tax systems. And in our 2010 State Business Tax Climate Index, Indiana ranks 30th in the nation. In other words, below the national average. And this is actually two rankings, I'll say poorer than you ranked in the previous year's edition in 2009. So you slipped backwards, in large measure because a couple of other states have improved themselves, not because Illinois did anything particularly bad yet. We didn't rank you for what just passed in the Senate and not in the House, in other words. So this is through permanent law. But as you can see, at least you rank slightly better than the states to the north, who rank poorer on this index, but rank poorer than states to the east, west, and the south.